Hi, it's Paul from howtoplaybassdotcom. In today's lesson we're going to learn to play the John Deacon bass line to Queen's track Hammer to Fall. Now, there's two versions of this out there. There's the original version, which is longer, which was featured on their album The Works, or what we're going to learn today is the version that was featured on the Greatest Hits album. It was the single release, which has got about 45 seconds taken out from the guitar solo. The guitar solo in this version is much shorter. So we're going to do it. We're going to go through the whole thing note by note, because as with a lot of John Deacon stuff, there's what's interesting isn't the line he plays or playing through, it's the variations he makes on different sections and some of the stuff he does in those variations. So we're going to go through that note by note. Each of the constituent sections we're going to play with the Band in a Box sketch track, so you've got some chordal framework to listen to, so it makes a bit more sense in the harmonic scheme of things. So we're going to start with the intro in a second. Before we do, if you're not a subscriber to my free monthly easy, click the link underneath the video, head over to my website, find the links in the right hand side of each page that says free bass lessons. Go over there and enter your email in. As a thank you for entrusting me with your email address, you get a sequence of free video stroke PDF lessons. The PDF have music in notation and tab. Additionally, subscribers get exclusive monthly tutorial videos and PDFs looking at bass lines. Sometimes we use bass lines as a technique example, but mostly they're just song tutorials. So totally free, only cost you your email address. So click on that link, go do that, then come back here and we'll crack on with the lesson. Okay, you just heard the intro and the first verse. Very simple pattern that the verse starts out on. Bass comes in with a slide from E, which could either be the 7th fret of the A string or the 12th fret of the E string, and then it goes into this pattern that kind of repeats. The pattern's kind of based around this figure, which are just A's and E's, but you'll notice in the play along there were some little variations which we'll talk through in a second. So we've got this slide, brings us in, that's A, 5th fret of the E string, then we've got a second slide, this time from the F sharp, 9th fret of the D string. So then after that slide from the F sharp, you've got two A's, then you've got this pattern, which is E, F sharp, E, open E string, F sharp, 2nd fret of the E string. That's the first 4 bars, which is kind of the intro and takes us into the verse. The verse itself, again, it's based very much on this figure of A, 5th fret of the E string, and you see there were some little variations in there. Mostly it's just adding an A on the and beat of the 4th beat of the bar. So and then the second time through, you'll have noticed there was a slide up from the E. E again, 7th fret of the A string, and the slide takes us to the octave of A at the 12th fret of the A string, and that's the kind of the chorus pattern, which is the next section of the song. Okay, you just heard the sort of the first chorus pattern and then the 4-bar riff prior to verse 2. It's pretty simple. Notice how John Deacon uses slides to move around the neck. Not only do the slides add a bit of colour to the line he's playing, but they also facilitate him getting from one position to another without there being an obvious break in his line. So the first 4 bars of the kind of chorus is this. Slide to get back up for the second 4 bars. So you've basically got 2 bars just in 8th notes of A, the octave, 12th fret of the A string. You've got a 3rd bar which repeats that, but the last note is a quarter note which you slide from. And then you've got that pattern, which is D, C sharp, 2 open A's, D and C sharp, 5th and 4th fret of the A string. And then you slide back up to get to the second 4 bars, again from E, which is the 7th fret of the A string again. So the second 4 bars, very similar. Except this time, the slide from the E is down, because then you're going to get into the basic pattern between the chorus and the verse. So that should be fairly straightforward. Let's move on to the next section, which is verse 2. Okay, verse 2 is another 8-bar section. Again, it's mostly made up of stuff that we've already looked at. That kind of pattern. You just heard it, of course, and there's that nice little fill at the end. So let's go through it note by note, or bar by bar. The first bar is this, which is 2 A's, the 5th fret of the E string, and then an open E string, an F sharp, an open E string again. Second bar, you've got that pattern. And then the 3rd bar is the same, and then the 4th bar, and you've got the and on the 4th beat of and, leading into the second 4 bars. So the second 4 bars, based around the basic figure, that's the first bar, and then you've got this fill. So what you've got on the second bar, the and on the beat 4 is the open E string, by the way, so to the 3rd bar, and then the fill bar. So what you've got is you've got E, F sharp, G sharp, A, which is open E, 2nd, 4th and 5th frets of the E string. Then you've got a hammer on from E to F sharp, 7th and 9th frets of the A string. Then up to the octave of A at the 7th fret of the D string, back to F sharp, 9th fret of the A string, and that leaves you in position to get up here for the chorus. That driving 8th note line on the 12th fret of the A string. So that's the next section, chorus 2, so we'll go and look at that. Okay, chorus 2, just heard it being played along, very similar to chorus 1, some slight variations. First 4 bars, so you heard there that very similar, 2 bars of 8th notes on the A, the 3rd bar, the last quarter note, instead of being an A, you go up to the octave of D, which is the 12th fret of the D string, slide down, and then you've got that pattern, and again you hit the E to slide back up to bring in the second 4 bars. Second 4 bars, very similar to what we looked at before. This time, the 4th beat of that 4-bar pattern is a low F sharp, 2nd fret of the E string, and you slide up to bring in the 4 bars that serves as the interlude between that chorus and the bridge. You got that pattern, and then you got slight variation on the 4th bar of that section. Okay, that brings us to the bridge, which is another section, so we'll go look at that. You just heard the entire 14-bar bridge. We're going to break it down into 4-bar sections. Here's the first 4-bar section. And that's the first kind of syncopation which matches the lyric of God Knows. So what you've got, starting off on E, then you've got there in anticipation to F sharp, which is the 2nd fret of the E string. Then you're up to G sharp, 4th fret of the E string. So then from the low one, you're up to the octave. The octave is the 6th fret of the D string, and then you're up a semitone to A at the 7th fret of the D string. And then what you've got is that note. Those 2 notes are D at the 5th fret of the A string and A, long sustained A at the 5th fret of the E string. The next 4 bars. The first 2 bars of those have got some really interesting syncopated sections. So it'd be kind of 1, 2, 3, 4. So what you've got is you've got that A, which is held from the and of beat 4 of the first 4 bars, the 4th bar of those 4 bars, and it goes to G natural. So you've got G natural, 5th fret of the D string, F sharp, 4th fret of the D string, back to G natural, 5th fret of the D string, D and E, 5th and 7th frets of the A string. But do listen to the play along section to hear the rhythm of those, because those 2 bars, everything's very syncopated. And then the last 2 bars, i.e. bars 7 and 8 of the bridge, are very similar to the first 2 bars. So you've got E, E, F sharp, octave F sharp, back to the low F sharp, and then up to G sharp. F sharp's the 2nd fret of the E string, octave F sharp's the 4th fret of the D string, back to the low F sharp, and then to G sharp at the 4th fret of the E string again. We're going to the next 4 bars. What you've got is this: 2, 3, 4. And then it's kind of the climb to the edge. So what you've got, not the edge, to the next section rather. So what you've got is anticipated G sharp, which we looked at from bar 8. You've got another low G sharp, 2 octave G sharps, 6th fret of the D string, 2 more low G sharps at the 4th fret of the E string, an octave G sharp at the 6th fret of the D string again, then up to A, but the low A, 5th fret of the E string, another low A, then you've got another couple of offbeat syncopated accents that match the lyrics. If you listen to the bridge section, you'll marry that up. Those are D and an E, 5th and 7th frets of the E string, sorry, not the E string, the A string, and then you're into a bar of E, then you've got a bar of G sharp, 6th fret of the D string in 8th notes, and then the last two bars you've got a bar of A in 8th note, 7th fret of the D string, sorry, going mad this morning, need some coffee, and then finally you've got a bar of D's playing that kind of rhythm. You can either play that at the 7th fret of the G string, or you can play it at the 12th fret of the D string. So that's the kind of bridge. Now here's where the track diverges. If you're listening to the track on the works, there's a extended guitar solo. If you're listening to the single version, which this tutorial is based on, the guitar section is cut down. So if you're listening on the works, you need to download the single version, because that's the next section we're going to go to. Okay, we're on the guitar solo now. The rest of the song is based on the kind of pattern we've looked at. That kind of 4-bar pattern that we've got in the chorus. So mainly we're using some variation of low A and high A, 5th and 7th frets of the E and D strings, with that line as well. There are some little variations, so we'll go through them. So guitar solo starts off on low A, so what you've got is it's all low A, 5th fret, and then you've got the run, which is D, C sharp, open A, D and C sharp, 5th and 4th fret. Then it goes up to E, 7th fret of the A string, and then you've got a hammer on from G natural to A, and 2 more A's, kind of 16th note, so it's quite fast, and that sets up the second 4 bars of this pattern of the guitar solo, where John's playing here and the 7th fret of the D string. So second 4 bars he's playing this kind of rhythm. And then that takes us into the next section. If you listen to the original again, you'll clearly hear that. So the first 3 bars, it's 8th notes, except there's a couple of 16th notes on the first and beat of each bar. Does that for 3 bars. Then you got that phrase again, D, C sharp, open A, repeats it, and then you've got a 6/8 bar. If you don't know what that is, don't worry about it particularly, but listen to the original and you'll hear the phrasing. And then it finishes with a back in 4/4, a note on D at the 5th fret of the A string, held for 2 beats. Then we're into the next section of the song. Okay, we're going to go in 8-bar sections now. The next section, very easy, the whole 8 bars, 8th notes, A, 7th fret of the D string. And so on. And then it drops down for the next 8 bars, which is the next section. Okay, the next section, we're playing another 8 bars. This is the kind of thing we're playing. You just heard it with the play along. The first 3 bars rather are at the low A position, 5th fret of the E string. Okay, then the next 4 bars, very similar. Okay, and then for the next 4 bars, John switches octave position and goes up to the here. And he's got an interesting little trill kind of thing in there, so we're going to look at that section. Okay, the next 8 bars starts off up here with at the 7th fret of the D string. First 4 bars sound like this. So what you're playing is, which is A and then G to A, 5th to 7th frets of the D string, which you can hammer as well. Do that for 3 bars. You got that figure again. Then the second 4 bars of this section, you're on the low A position. And you've got that fill again where you go D, C sharp, 2 open A's, E, 7th fret of the A string, G to A. Which is 5th to 7th fret of the D string. That takes us to the next section with the rhythms, which starts up again here, the 7th fret of the D string, and the rhythm gets interesting in that section. Okay, the next 8 bars is the final kind of 8 bars before the outro. First 4 bars start at the A octave position, 7th fret of the D string, and sounds kind of like this. And then you go down to the low position. So what you're playing basically 8th notes, except in the first bar there's a couple of 16th notes on the and of beat 3, so 1 and 2 and 3 and A. And then 2 more 8th notes. Then the second and third bars are just 8th notes. And then you've got that riff or figure. This time you can use the open string and G sharp at the 4th fret of the E string to approach or lead up to the last 4 bars. Now I'm going to play the last 4 bars really slowly because the rhythm's really goosed in these 4 bars. This is the kind of thing John's playing. then the fourth bar. Okay, so what you've got, the first three bars, you've got an eighth note, two 16th notes, two eighth notes, two 16th notes, an eighth note, an eighth note, two 16th notes. And it sounds like this. And that rhythm's repeated for two more bars. And then the last bar, which is two A's, D, A, D, C sharp. And then we're into the outro, which is a variation of the basic 4-bar pattern, and we'll go and look at that in the last section. Okay, the outro, essentially it's a 4-bar figure, stuff we've already looked at. And then as the guitars and the drums are going mental, John hits the octave of A at the 7th fret of the D string, gets a slide in from E at the 9th fret of the G string, up to A, the 14th fret of the G string, back to that E at the 9th fret, the A, low A, and finishes with a stab on the low A. Now, the best thing to do for that, because of the way it's timed and stuff, is listen to the original, but no, you've got to get from there to the octave, the slide from E to the top A, back to the E, the octave A, and then back to the low A. If you write those notes and those note locations down and listen to the original, you'll figure the ending out. So this is quite a long tutorial, but if you put all those sections together, correlate them with the original, you'll be able to get through the song. Great song to play through, lots of fun, and also if you're kind of been playing for a while, there's some bits in here which will push your technique up a little bit, which is what you should always be trying to do when you're learning songs, is find songs with bits in that will force you to become a better player. And if you keep doing that over time, the compound interest effect of that will make you a better player.